Hello, Jay. It's the
Hello,
end of
Scott.
2025, and we're going to have a podcast where we kind of reflect a little bit on the year that's been and maybe talk about 2026 and some of our expectations or some of the things we're looking forward to. And I'm going to start off, and we're going to go pretty deep potentially from the first question. My first question is from 2025. What intrigued you the most throughout the year? Anything relating to golf?
Is this a serious answer or just a joking answer?
I feel like you want to go joking, so you fire away.
Well, no, I didn't really have a joking one because my brain immediately went to serious. Mate, you've gone deep straight away. No lube, just straight in there, just a big smack in the face with that question. Well, I guess what's intriguing me about 2026, if I'll start there and it might lead my brain somewhere,
Okay.
would be what's happening with live golf at the moment and where that's going to end up. And I read that Ben Campbell is no longer, who lost his contract or whatever you call it with live. Is
I
that
believe
correct?
so. Yeah, I believe so. He's lost his spot on the team. Yeah, which is a bit sad because he was ranked second on the team throughout the year. So I'm not sure I didn't go any deeper than sort of reading the headline of the first couple of sentences, but that's pretty disappointing for Ben.
Yeah. It is a real shame. But I'm intrigued just to see what's going on with Brooks Koepka and what's going to happen with Bryson and what will happen in that whole space. In terms of the start of this year, I guess for me personally, it was probably selfishly a little bit around Kazuma and how he was going to go on the DP World Tour. Obviously, not the longest hitter in the world. I think throughout the year he was sort of second to last in distance off the tee, but finished in the top 50. Obviously, played that final event, which is pretty impressive in himself. So I'm intrigued. That's probably been intriguing for me, mate. Is that tension between everyone talking about distance being a priority, and it obviously is because the best. I'm not saying it isn't, but the best players in the world are the longest. But when you look at a guy like Kazuma, you hit it further than him. Whereas you look at Foxy or Dan and go, they hit it miles and straight. So therefore, of course they're going to beat me. Whereas Kazuma, he hits it further than me, but he doesn't hit it further than many of the guys. In fact, there's 155 every week that hit it further than him, but he still beats most of them. So I find that intriguing. I wonder where the game's going in terms of it feels like distance is now a bit of a given. It's like everyone's just accepted that you do need it. Maybe more premium on accuracy might slip back. I think that would be a cool thing for golf if it did, if it became a bit more of a skill. And the ball, I guess the other thing that's intriguing, which I haven't read much into, to be fair, is the what's happening with the golf ball and the new rules and what companies will do to get past that. But I think it's a good thing. I think if there's a real premium on hitting fairways, which I think at tour level there is, because the greens are firm and hard, and if you can't, you've talked about spin before in the podcast, if you can't get it on the ball, pretty hard second shots for a lot of those tour players, and obviously even for us sort of weekend warriors, I think it's the same. And yeah. Can I ask you what's intrigued you, or is that not the rules?
Well, I did say before we started recording that I've got some questions for you, but you're not allowed to ask them back because I actually haven't thought of answers, so I'm kind of just making it unfair for you. What's intriguing me, probably I'll start like you did, going forward for 2026, is how sim golf is going to change the way that people enjoy their golf. TGL is going to be in its second year now, and I think they start in a couple of days maybe on the 1st of Jan or something, 5th of Jan maybe. So it's going to be interesting. I think that's here to stay now. I think maybe the first year was a little bit of fun and experimentation, but the players are coming back, so there's obviously enough love for it there and probably intrigue from the crowd and things. And I think they used that first year as a little bit of let's see how this goes and what we can improve. And I'm interested to see what changes happen. Just in our region, in the Bay of Plenty here in New Zealand, there's a number of indoor simulator facilities going up. So that's different for for New Zealand. It's a place we can play golf all year round. We don't really get hampered too much by the weather. Yeah, it rains, but we don't get snowed in, and courses aren't closed for days on end. So I'm really interested to see how that goes in New Zealand, because around the world where places are snowed in, or even in the heat sometimes, players will be in the sim for months on end. So I'm interested to see how that goes. It feels a lot closer than home. It's obviously been going well for the last few years around the world, but it feels like it's getting a little bit closer to home now with that. And yeah, for me, looking a little bit back, only a month or so, but getting the start in the next event, next tour, the Trackman Next Tour, and that's a virtual golf league, indoor simulated golf. That was really interesting, and sort of playing around with some different bag setups, and I put a 64-degree wedge in the bag because it felt like it was really important to hit it high and soft on the hard simulated greens. So I'm interested to see what different skill sets come about from the explosion of sim golf.
It was pretty cool watching you playing that sim thing, and might be worth just reflecting on that a little bit. The fact that you qualified for it was pretty impressive, and I think it's not an event you can just show up and enter. You have to qualify. So, what was your experience about playing in that in terms of nerves and anxiety and all that stuff?
Yeah, briefly touched on the event that qualified me into this, which was the New Zealand's sort of first official pro-am, indoor pro-am. And the nerves I felt over that, with the big leaderboard on the top right, and I was leading after the 7th hole and managed to maintain that lead until the 17th, and needed to birdie the last to win, but ended up losing by a shot. I don't think I felt as many nerves playing the actual event, and that probably came from a little bit of a lack of preparation. So I only found out a week before that I had a start in this, and I already had plans. So there was one day which I had available in the 7-day span that you need to play 2 rounds. So I had to play them back to back. I was pretty fatigued. I'd played 10 days in a row leading up to that, and felt a couple of niggles, and I was pretty fatigued. Not necessarily over golf, still loving golf, but kind of like I just need a little bit of a rest. So I kind of had zero expectations going into it. Didn't really know what was a good score for me. I could see the leaderboard. I played with only 1 day left of the 7 days, so most people have finished their 2 rounds. So I knew what the score was, which I needed to win. And probably the biggest thing for me was I'm really interested to see if I can get inside the top 100 after 3 events. That gets to what they call their tour championship, which is a $250,000 prize pool for the top 100 that qualify. So I'm kind of looking at that part of the leaderboard going, oh, okay, my first time, what do I sort of need to do? It's almost like me looking at the cut lines when trying to play 4-round events. Like, what's the cut line? How do I sneak inside that? As opposed to looking at the top, where maybe I should start focusing a little bit higher on the leaderboard. But in terms of nerves, I didn't particularly have any. I was a little probably disappointed after playing. I was like, I could have done a few things in preparation a little better. In the sort of small preparation I did, I had a lot of normal shots, and I wanted to nail down some tee shots. Obviously, you know the course going in. I roughly knew the direction of the wind, so I wanted to go, okay, it's 183 metre par 3. It's 3 metres downhill. That's a stock 6 for me. There was another one, which was at Valhalla. It's the 14th hole. It was 235 metres slightly into the wind. So I actually took out my hybrid. I actually took out my 3-wood and 2-iron just to put a hybrid in, essentially for that hole, because I needed a club that could land on the green. I missed the green both rounds, so there we go. But yeah, I kind of prepared that way, and where I got tripped up a little bit was the side hill lies. So a good example was the second hole. There's a dog leg left, par 5, and I've hit it in the left rough, and it's just sitting on a sort of side hill lie, ball above my feet. And visually, on the course, I kind of love that shot. I just send it all the way right, hit this big slinging draw, and it's a really comfortable shot for me to hit. I ended up aiming 40 metres left of the pin, which was about 15 metres left of the green to this back left flag. And I was like, I'm just going to sling one out there. If it curves 30 metres, perfect. I'm in the middle of the green. If I overcurve a little bit, I might go close, but anything else should be on the green. And it just started fairly straight, and it still curved 40 metres. So I ended up missing about 20 metres left of the green, short-sighted. And
hold on. Did you say you aimed left of the flag?
Did I say left? I may have said left. I meant right.
Yeah, I think you may have said left because I was getting confused.
Yeah. But, yeah, so aim right. Still miss it left. And I wish I had practiced those shots a little more. Just, okay, how do I hit shots off side hill lies when I'm actually hitting from a flat mat? Do I still try to hit a straight shot and let the lie naturally start the ball left or right, and then the spin axis is tilted, so let it curve? Whereas in real golf, I would just try and hit a big sling and draw and play with that curve and even exaggerate a little bit more. So, yeah, I probably didn't prepare as best as I could, but it was short term, so I didn't really beat myself up about it. But definitely going to work on those before the next event, which starts in 8 days. And I haven't had a ball for 8 days, so there we go.
How long have you got? So when it starts in 8 days, how long have you got to play?
7 days from that. So from the 8th to the 15th of January is the window to play your 2 rounds. And I think this time I'll try to play them on different days, or at least have a gap in between rather than back to back. Definitely got a bit fatigued in that second round, and the club speed started to drop a little bit, which is quite cool to see that on the board. It still feels like I'm giving everything I've got, and the club speed dropped a couple of miles an hour, which I kind of expect at the end of 2 rounds of golf.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's interesting going back to how you were saying there's quite a few places opening up in Tauranga now. I wonder, will it replace golf, do you think? Will it be an addition for golfers? Will it be a place that people go and play? Like at the moment, I can honestly say I enjoy it, but I don't really see it as golf. As in, I wouldn't pay any attention to a score or even how I was hitting it. Would I be the minority there, do you think?
No, I think you're probably the majority from the small sample of people that I've talked to. I don't think it's going to replace golf, and most people like you are still going to want to get out on the grass and play real golf. That's how they've grown up. That's what they like. And this is a little bit like T20 cricket taken over. That's not real cricket. A little bit like that, where it can just be a little bit different. So there's a different skill set between Test cricket and T20 cricket, and I think that'll be the same here, where there's a different skill set. Someone like me probably suits indoor golf. Terrible chipper, especially out of long rough, whereas I get a clean lie every time, and I can just pick it clean and have a have a nice clean ball, nice clean lie every time. So it might suit me a little better, and love just smashing driver, so I don't have to worry about any finicky holes. I was like, oh yeah, cool, I can just rip it, and I don't have to worry about finding it or out of bounds. So that sort of thing resonated with me. But I think that's probably the majority of people will be like you. It won't replace golf for them. I think with how golf has just continued to grow since COVID, I think this will become a lot of people's go-to golf, and then getting out on the actual golf course is now this is what I've been practicing for, or what I've put all my skill learning and things into practice for. So now I'm out on the course. Oh wow, this is really tricky actually hitting out along grass. Well, now that tree is visually, it's a lot closer. Oh, actually no, that tree's a bit further away. I can bend it around that. Or it's actually really difficult hitting a lofted shot from long grass and a short distance, because you need speed and you need loft. And so I think there's a lot of new golfers who have come to the game who are going to experience it the other way, going sim golf more, especially because it's not going to take as long. Time constraints.
Yeah, true.
A little bit easier.
This might be unpopular with you, being a cricketer that you are, but someone I heard a while ago now, but T20 is entertainment and Test cricket is sport. I was like, yeah, that actually That's true. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's true or not, but I was like, yeah, that resonates with me. Like, and then I was thinking, my flow on from that was the Ashes recently. Obviously, I don't know. I'm sure you've been watching it. I've been watching it, and Aussie 3-0 up, and then the English are getting, or McCullum's under fire with their prep and the way they've done it. But if they'd have won 1-0 out of those three, then he's a hero for exactly the same preparation. And we get this massive outcome bias. And I think we do it in golf too. Had a really good few hours with Kazuma actually debriefing his year. And it's funny, like you think about how many tournaments he would have played last year, let's say 32. And he goes back to one shot. He's like, there's this one shot that I hit. And the outcome, well, there's actually, so he started off with one shot. And the outcome was good, but he said it was the wrong shot. And if he could take his time back, he would go back to that one. And then he asked a question around another shot, which he said he fucked it up, but he still thinks it was the right shot. So that ability to, he's really good at that actually, that ability to separate, not from an excuse point of view or justifying his decision, because one of them he said he took the wrong decision but had a good shot. And the other one he reckons he took the right decision but had a poor shot. Yeah. And then so going through that, he's quite disciplined around going through that process of, how do I know whether it was a good decision or not based on the outcome? And then I think as golfers, we do that heaps, right? So that whole golden rule of shut up until your ball's landed, the last thing you'll do is go, oh, after you've hit a shot, and it goes to 4 feet.
Yeah, and probably the sport versus the entertainment. I think it comes down to how much variance is required to win. In a test match, quite often the best team will win because it is a test. It's a long, long time where the best players over that long period of time usually come to the top. With a T20, you have one guy who has a day who has one good ball, takes a wicket, his tail's up, he nicks off the next guy, and all of a sudden he's got 4 for, 5 for. And it's the only bag of wickets he's taken all season, but it's enough to win the game because it's so short. Whereas in Test cricket, that doesn't happen that much. And I think a little bit like this is there's probably... Well, golf's a little bit hard anyway because there's a lot of variance, and that's why you see different winners each week. But you're almost simplifying it a little bit too much going into the sim golf. So... you don't have the bad lies where you do on the best players in the world figure out how to get it when it's just sitting down on the grass a little bit, or it's out of a divot in the fairway, or the grain's into them, or the grain's down, and the lesser skilled players don't recognise those things and they hit the same shot and they're like, oh, it flew the green, oh, it came up short, oh, that's weird, it should have go that far. And that's where I think the sim golf is it kind of levels the playing field, whereas you don't need quite as high skill to have the outcome. So that's probably a fair.
It's also like you said before around the lies and the short game shots. Like there's the knowing how it's going to come out, but there's also the fear that comes with seeing that lie. Whereas, and I know that on the TrackMan it'll say 50% spin and whatever. So you know that you're going to have to. You do know you have to adapt. But you're still adapting off a perfect lie versus that into the grain lie where everyone's been walking to the next tee and your ball's nestled into it and you just think, oh, this is horrific. I don't want to have to hit this shot. That plays a massive part in the skill outcome as well.
Yeah.
And I guess the T20 version of golf in some ways is probably match play, which is why I don't think we see a lot of match play at elite level golf because it could be, like you go and play Kazuma, you birdie 3 of the first 6, and he bogeys 7 and 8, and all of a sudden you're 5 up, and he's cooked. Whereas over 72 holes, he's going to get you back.
It's going to work for you.
That longest, the longer form, which is potentially why we don't see as much match play. I think match play is fun. Like I really enjoy playing match play. It's good fun because it feels like you're in contention.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But in terms of a window into like a lot of amateur, not a lot, but there's a few amateur championships around the world that historically have been match play events. And a few of them are now changing to stroke play to try and get the best golfer rather than just the The guy that got the lucky draw, or you play the number one on the day number one seed on a day where you have a blinder. He has a bit of a shocker, and then the next day you have a shocker, and the guy that you play with has an even bigger shocker, and you're still in the hunt. So, which again, fun entertainment, but maybe not elite.
This thought just came to me as you said something about the lie there. So on the TrackMan or in any simulator, often it will give you a lie, and TrackMan uses a range. They used to have, this will come out at 75% or 83% power. They now have a range, so it's a little bit more random. So it'll say it's going to come out between 75 and 83% power. And I actually had a shot on the 13th at Valhalla, if anyone remembers it. It's kind of a little dog leg par 4. It's 300 yards, I think, to the front of the green, but it's a little island green. And in the PGA Championship, only one guy went for the green the entire 4 rounds, and it was in the last round, and he was coming second or third to last, and he hit driver, had the speed, hit it to 8 feet and hold it. The only guy who went for it all week, made eagle. But it's really not worth the risk. So I had a 4-iron up there, and it rolled into the rough, and that was the one thing you cannot do, because you want to be hitting from the fairway so you get 100% power. You know how it's going to come out. So anyway, I had 100 and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I can probably post the video. Let's say it was 105 to the flag, and it said 75 to 83% power. So I actually went and got the calculator out, and I was like, okay, well, how far do I need to hit this if it comes out at the low end at 75% power? And it was something like 90 to 95 to carry the water. And I ended up hitting an 8-iron from 105 meters, because at 75% power, it needed to carry 120 to actually carry 105. And so I kind of went about it in that analytical way, which, there's no way to know that on the course. So that's what I quite liked about the TrackMan stuff, is there is a little bit of you can go about it that way if you like.
Yeah.
Because you are hitting off the flat lie, and it just gives you a percentage or calculation you can kind of use. And it kind of came out about that, and it just carried over the green and ended up being safe. But without that, even using the calculator, so normally there'd be a sand wedge for me. I was like, gap wedge, maybe I'll hit pitching wedge. I ended up skipped in line and going all the way to 8-iron to make sure that I carried that. So, yeah, it's interesting.
I wonder if one day there'll be technology in the clubs that when you get in after the end of the round, you get this printout on your phone that goes, that 8-iron you hit on number 4, you hit that out of the toe by 8 millimeters. So therefore, your normal 8-iron goes 136, but this one only went 118.
Yeah.
Or, it was a nor'easter on when you played into 5, and that had a 10-yard. It'd all be historical data, which would be no bloody use to you because you've already hit the shot.
I mean, no use to you, but that's kind of like what the normalization does on TrackMan, isn't it? It gives you your...
Yeah, except for strike.
Club. Oh, but it says so it says your ball speed's down, but if it was out of the middle, it would have gone this far. So it's kind of
normalizes more around weather and ball than strike.
Yep. Oh, okay. But that would be interesting.
It could be another one of those things. I remember Gordon Walker, who's a Olympic kayak coach, coach of the year in New Zealand multiple times, I'm sure. He did a presentation and he was talking about data, and he just goes, I'm not interested in being interested. Because he said there's so much data out there, and I think golf's guilty of this. Some of it's really interesting, but it's so irrelevant.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I'm no longer interested in being interested. And if you think about, for us, total putts or fairways hit. And then I guess the random one that, we talked about earlier on was greens and reg, when we said hit 12 greens. And then that obviously did interest some people because for whatever reason that video went crazy compared to any other video that we've put up. Most of our videos get about 6 views.
Yeah.
Random, what happened? What was that one? So what was so interesting about that clip?
It's a great question, Jay. And if I knew the answer, this podcast would be recording 20 of them and posting them.
Yeah.
So, maybe come up with something equally as insightful this one, and we'll see how that goes.
Didn't think that was massively insightful either.
I think what I liked about it is it was kind of, you're like, this is the minimum buy-in if you want to shoot a low score, and you're like, only one person has, of the data you had shot sub 70, hitting less than 12 greens, and that was obviously Kazuma, who we've just been talking about. But it was quite nice to go, actually, yeah, if I do want to consistently shoot under par, this is the minimum buy-in. It gave you a little bit of a measure rather than, why aren't I scoring? Let's count the greens. Oh man, I'm only hitting 10 around. Well, there we go. If I can find another 2, then I can start to maybe question why I'm not scoring as well.
I'm no mathematician, Scott, but would it work if you did, like, is it a net thing? Could, like, obviously we're talking about under par, but if someone took that and they said they're on a 12 handicap, so therefore, how would that work? Do they, because on a 0 handicap, let's say we're saying 0 handicap for anyone who's trying to break par, not necessarily a pro or a plus handicap, hit 12 greens. We're not saying hit 18 greens. So I wonder what would the net relationship be? Like if a 12 handicapper went out and said, right, on the stroke holes, do they just try and hit those 12 greens? Do they still try and hit 12 greens and it's 12 net greens? So therefore on the stroke holes, they've got, on a par 4, they've got 3 shots to get there. Would it be that simple? Obviously their short game and putting skills aren't going to be as good as a pro's either, but it would be a good starting point probably, eh?
It would, 100% it would. The way I'd probably go about it is, because we've talked about the stroke holes not being necessarily the difficulty of the hole, and quite often you get a 12 handicapper who can hit it a long way, and the stroke hole 1 to 4 will be the par 5s.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd prefer that they played them as a par 5 and tried to hit it in 3. So I'd almost go, what's going to be the length of your approach shot if you hit a decent tee shot? And then the 12 longest approach shots, they're your stroke holes. So it would be the 4 par 3s. And then if there's a 400-meter par 4, that's probably going to be one of your longer approach shots. And you can go through the scorecard before you play, especially if you play your home course. You'll know this off the top of your head, most likely. What are your 12 longest approach shots? Use them as your stroke holes and you get 1 extra shot. So the other 6 holes, you're playing them in regulation, and the other ones you get an extra stroke. Now still try and hit those 12 greens.
And that would be, like, you think about par 3s, and if you're a 12 handicapper and you go, mate, you got 2 shots to get onto the screen. You'd think, it's a birdieable par 4 now, which we've talked about in the past. I do think it changes your mindset, which must help.
Definitely, and I think with that other one, we're not even saying lay up on the par 3 to make it a short par 4, but more so if you miss the green, you don't have to hit it close.
Yeah.
Like, make your priority, make sure this stays on the green. You don't want to have 2 chips. You don't want to be, if you're in the greenside bunker and the pin's on the front left, aim 15 feet right where you've got a big chunk of green where you can get a little bit thin or a little bit fat and still be on the green. Make sure you get it on the green in that regulation, because I think that's where we see the biggest numbers as coaches, where people are having shockers out of trees or, trying to get it up and down from a absolutely short-sighted chip, and they've absolutely no chance with the skill level they have.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find something Zach May sent me the other day. Zach's he plays at Iowa State, young New Zealand golfer, probably in his final year, I think, at Iowa State. Really good player. He sent me a thing the other day, which I'll tell you where he got it from. He did say a guy called Travis McAllister, who spent a bit of time caddying on the tour for Gordon Sargent and Maverick McNeely. But he was saying his golden rules of championship golf. Number 1, no misses on the inside of the dog leg. Quite like that. No more than 2 from any fringe. So that's basically saying don't 3-putt, obviously. No, this is what reminded me, no double chips, no 2 chips. Front pin strategy, play the pin as the minimum distance, which I never do. I'm guilty of that. And the amount of times I've read on tour that the front pin with a wedge is the worst pin for PGA Tour players because they come up short. Even the best players in the world
Oh, wow. Yeah.
fall for that. Never hit 2 full shots in the row from the rough. Iron off the tee must be in the fairway. I'm guilty of that. As in, I'm guilty of not being in the fairway. Never play the par 5s over par for a day. So again, if we went back to net, as you say about the stroke holes, if you made your own stroke holes, that could be a challenge for everybody for the year. Make your stroke holes for the year. You could probably find out that information from your .golf scoring, potentially what your hardest hole is, and do your own stroke holes. No bogeys with 9 iron or less from the fairway. It's a little bit like the Tiger 5, that one?
Yeah.
Or some of them are. If in between 2 clubs to a back pin, take the shorter one with freedom. Mm-hmm. And then number 10, no doubles without a penalty shot.
Beautiful.
So they're quite cool rules, eh?
That is lovely. Can you just credit that again? Who that's from?
Zach May, who plays, he's a young golfer from Christchurch. Actually pretty cool family. Got Zach, his brother, or let's do it in chronological order. Zach's the oldest. He's got a sister, Maddie, who's also playing college golf in America, and then a younger brother, Seb, who's also playing college golf in America. Yeah, cool. All 3 of them back at the moment, I think, actually. They're all back at the moment for our summer holidays, their winter, or their Christmas. But yeah, pretty cool. He's a real deep thinker, Zach. I quite enjoyed having a bit of a chat, and he flicked that through, so yeah.
Very cool. Love those. I'm going to double back a little bit. You mentioned earlier about Kazuma, thinking about one shot through the year. I'm going to ask you a similar question. You didn't play a lot of golf. Actually, only handed in 2 cards, I think, for 2025.
Not that I handed in 2 cards. I only put 2 cards into Up Game.
Oh, there we go.
I think I handed in a few.
Is there a shot that you would like to have again? It can be for any reason, any context, any situations. Is there one shot that you can think of you're like, I didn't either execute that or I wasn't quite where I wanted to be mentally before hitting that shot? Is there a shot that sticks out to you that you'd like to hit again?
My immediate thought was the 9th hole in the day that got rained out for us. Yep. But in actual fact, if I was honest, the only reason I'd want that back was because of the outcome. Because I actually, I didn't bail out of that. I walked towards it. So, and that's really what I was going for with that event. So the only thing, if I had it again, I'd probably take more shots on the tee. I'd be more of a tin cup. So if I probably go back to the first tee and just take a bit more time, I probably still tried to get that over and done with a bit quick, without really realising it at the moment. Yeah, that'd probably be the one. The one I'd love to hit again would be that tee shot on 6 when the wind was off the left.
Yes. Yeah,
and I just, I don't know where that came from. I haven't had a shot like that in my life. It's like you were hitting
beautiful.
It. So, yeah, I'd love to repeat that just to, feel that again.
That cool. What about you? I love your reaction. So just randomly, it just happened that we kind of just got ahead of the group in front, and I was like, oh, cool, got a bit of time, I'll go to my bag. And I was like, oh, I might record this one. So I recorded it from a terrible angle. It was the only one I recorded of you all day. And your reaction to that was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you were recording.
Yeah.
Because I would have had a shitter if I did. What's your shot you'd love back?
The tee shot on the 17th hole of the virtual Golf Pro-Am, where I missed the fairway and it led to a bogey, which ultimately cost me. It was pretty much down to the outcome because of where it went. And it was interesting because at that stage, almost everyone was watching our bay. We're the only bay still playing golf at that stage. It had been about 6 hours. So everyone was waiting for us to finish to watch, to get into prize giving. Brooke Salmon from Trackman was there, and the New Zealand rep was there. So there were quite a few people watching, and I'd been nervous for 9 holes, so it wasn't anything new at this stage. I didn't know the hole that well, so I didn't realize that even where I landed it, it was going to end up where it did. It kind of just kind of bounced on the edge of the fairway, but it went downhill, rolled across the path, and then into the trees. So probably knowing that, I would have changed my target line a little bit. But my tendency is when I get a bit fast, which I'm likely to do when I'm feeling a bit of pressure, is that I miss it right and I kind of just hang the face open. So I'd probably like to do that again, just go recognize, which I thought I did a really good job for most of the shots, like what's important right now. Well, as I said, I didn't really understand that you couldn't miss it right where I did. Okay, well, you can't miss this right. What's important? Well, give yourself either a little bit extra space or really focus on, hey, your tendency is to do this, so be really slow and really deliberate with that practice swing and almost feel like you're swinging in slow motion, because you're not going to swing slower because the adrenaline's up, the heart's racing. But what you can't afford to do is get too fast, which is what I did. So, yeah, would I want to hit that again? Yes, for the outcome, but no, because of the learnings from it. So, I wouldn't have reflected on it as much as I did if it was in the fairway and I made par and I ended up winning.
Yeah. Like just reflecting on you there saying it was a mistake, but you're glad you did it type of thing. And I mentioned Kazuma before in our debrief. One of the things he said was, and I talked about that one shot, the hit gap wedge and sandwich. He goes, I almost wish I hit the gap wedge, but actually I'm glad I didn't, because now we have the learning. And so that's gold, right? Like, to your point, you might have won it, but that learning could be holding you back. It's like that Chinese farmer, right?
It is.
Maybe. Yeah. Was it a bad decision? Maybe. Maybe it was good. Anyway, sorry, that probably wasn't as exciting as I made it out to be when I was like, oh, wait, there's something cool. But yeah, just triggered it for me.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'd be the one shot for me. It would be nice to have a little bit more money, but I probably wouldn't have had the learning, and maybe I'll get more money from doing that now. Yeah. I have another one for you. What thoughts or beliefs changed in relation to golf for you throughout the year? Is there anything you came into the year thinking or believing that maybe changed as the year went on?
Don't know. Good question again. I've probably been grappling with the tension of what it means to be a high performer, which I've spoken to you about a bit this year, and the challenges and struggles and stuff that people have, and what tour golf is and isn't about would probably be what I was circling at the start of the year. I would have said, again, I'll just use Kazuma. Traveling the world, playing the best golf courses in the world, in great condition, with the best players in the world, building relationships, making good friends, pretty cool from the outside. And I was like, man, and he's aware that, and he's grateful for that opportunity. And so I'm not saying that it's all bloody tough and woe is me, because he's certainly uber aware that he's blessed to be able to do what he does. But we've all played bad golf, and we all know how frustrating that is. But imagine doing that for like 3 weeks in a row, literally every single day, with no family around. And, and I don't want it to make it harder than it is, because, as I said, Kazuma and a lot of those guys are grateful to be able to do what they do. So it's not to say that they're not. But probably for me, spending a bit more time on tour with them and seeing some of the realities of what that world is like is probably, don't know if, it's probably changed, but I'd say higher awareness. What about you?
Cool.
Am I allowed to ask you back? I feel like I should.
Nah, you're not.
Oh.
Have you got nothing better?
Nah. Yours are real deep. You smacked me in the face right off the cuff.
We're going to go deep. Any thoughts or beliefs? Probably how would I frame this? how easy it can be to shoot a relatively low score. And not that I did it that often, but it seems within reach now without much really changing. I don't think my skill is massively improved in striking the golf ball, but something changed midway, sort of 3/4 through the year, where it became a little bit more achievable, and not just for me, but almost I feel like I could caddy around someone and be like, man, this is pretty easy. You're making it so much harder than it needs to be. But it came from my understanding and from me playing and probably exploring some different ways to think around the golf course, I think. So I probably thought going into it wasn't a belief because I'd seen it not done this way, but that the players that go out and shoot 62, 63, it's like, oh man, they just hit everything close, or they hole every putt. And then seeing it happen, seeing Josh Geary shoot 60, it's like, how did you shoot 60? Like he hit it over there. I hold a putt. Yeah, that's right. He got up and down there. It's like, hold a putt. I hit one close there, but it wasn't like it was a collection of doing one good thing a hole. It wasn't like every shot was amazing or incredible. There wasn't one shot that I saw him hit where it's like, I've hit it there before. I don't have the skill. I mean, I do have the skill to hit any of those shots. It wasn't something like extraordinary or something like that. And yeah, I'm not sure. Probably, maybe it is when Rory and Scotty Scheffler do it, but it sort of made me think that, you know what, they just do a really good job of keeping the ball in play and just giving themselves opportunities. And then some days they just fall, and if they don't, you play okay and you walk away going, cool, I gave myself opportunities. So something changed for me, and I probably haven't articulated it that well, but something changed for me in that space this year.
Yeah, I reckon I noticed that when, you and I didn't play a huge amount together, but the couple of times we played the back end of the year, I noticed that, like, historically you'll always hit the ball better than me, you'll often chip and putt better than me, but a few years ago I probably would have beaten you 9 times out of 10, whereas now it feels like that's shifted. You still hit the ball the same, but your scorings, maybe it just comes because you're a new golfer, right? Like you haven't played your whole life. Maybe it has just come with that time on task.
And I know that's something you've talked to me about in the years we've had together about still being a new golfer. I haven't quite figured that out. Yeah. And I'm not even sure how I would go about figuring that out earlier than I did. Like if I was like, oh, cool, could I have figured this out 5 years ago or 10 years ago? I'm not sure how I would have gone about that. And I haven't articulated that well and how I did anyway. But something definitely changed there, and it's been cool.
Yes, it has been cool. Do you know one thing I did want to touch on? One of the clips we did after the last podcast was me talking about Lockie.
Yes.
And I had a few people come up and go, oh, that resonated because that's me. I say things like that and I do that. And I remember Jeff Ogilvy, prior to winning the 2006 US, or after winning the 2006 US Open, someone said to him, what's changed? And he basically said, I started paying attention to how I was talking to myself. And he said, if my caddy said some of the stuff that I said to myself, he'd be fired mid-round. In fact, I wouldn't even say the stuff to my worst enemy that I say to myself. And he just said, I needed to change that. And so he became his own best friend, I guess, in terms of his self-talk. And, you know, like the amount of people that went, oh, that's me. And we're all guilty of it. Then it made me think, I wonder if there's some, like, do we pay enough attention to that self-talk? And if you, as I said, if you wrote down everything like you said, or even if you think about, we don't all verbalize it, you know, like most of it's just internal chatter. You know, there's that think out loud framework. Imagine if you verbalized everything you were thinking. I'd probably get locked up.
Yeah, I've said that before as well. I think so. But funny you say that because, just thinking about that, that's definitely something I've done a better job of this year in hitting shots that hitting a tee shot doesn't go in the fairway. And I remember someone specifically saying, "Oh, what happened there?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just one of the shots that could have happened." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that was cool." Like normally I'd make an excuse for all that, and it may have come out of the toe, I may have thinned it, or
Yeah.
something, but I didn't use it. I was just like, it's a shot that could have happened. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like they're not all going to hit the fairway. I could have the best intentions, and I've definitely been a lot kinder with myself, and probably enjoyed that a bit more. Going, and I think it came from an understanding of strokes gained, or a deeper understanding of strokes gained, and sort of for me, for the app that I use, 200 meters in the fairway is even strokes gained off the tee, and 280 in the rough is even strokes gained. Now, that's pretty liberal. You can take that how you want. Like, there's lots of different lies in the rough and things, but I'm like, if I've got an iron in my hand, it's not going 280, so this has to be in the fairway to gain strokes. And if I hit it, grab a 4 iron and it goes 220, but it's in the rough, it's like, okay, I just lost half a stroke. How can I make that up in this hole? And I start thinking about that. Well, it's just in the rough. It's not going to penalise me as much as some rough could, or actually, no, this is in the trees. Well, how do I not make a 6 here? How do I just limit the damage? So an understanding of that, and just being kinder to myself and going, yeah, I'm going to hit a shot that either is somewhere between gaining a full stroke or losing a full stroke, or losing 2 strokes if it goes out of bounds. It's going to fall somewhere in that spectrum, and that's okay, because every shot I hit is going to fall on there somewhere. And if I start recognizing that too many are losing a full 2 shots every time, well, I'll try and make a change. But very rarely does that happen. Whereas in the past, I'd be like, oh man, I hit 4 on off the tee and I'm in the rough, that's a disaster. I walk to the next shot and think I've got to hit an incredible shot, where it's like, it's okay.
Yeah, when you just said before around hitting a 4 iron into the rough, it reminded me of what Zach sent through. And you said, who do we credit for that? And I credited Zach May, but you actually meant who the original one was, eh? So I just had a quick look. Travis McAllister, who's a caddy on the PGA Tour for 20 years, Gordon Sargent, and Maverick McNeely.
Nice.
Is that what you wanted to know? Who?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But Zach, bless him, he sent it to me, so I'll give him the credit.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, so that's definitely something that's helped, I think.
Yeah.
Change those beliefs or thoughts.
Nice. What's the biggest thing you need to work on? Because you're going to play a few more tournaments in 2026.
Maybe. We had a plan to play at the end of January, which I was very excited for us to play.
Yeah.
But I probably won't do it.
Yes, you will. Hard enough.
No, I probably won't do it.
Why not?
It was going to be difficult anyway.
Right.
But I was willing to do it if we were going to do it. So I probably won't play those ones. But I have got these 2 virtual ones coming up. So I think that's between the 8th and 15th. I've got to play 2 rounds. And we don't know the course just yet. They released it a week before. So in a couple of days, we'll find out what the course is. And then I'll try and do some prep for that. And then the next event starts only a couple of days afterwards. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, I can go well enough to make that to a championship. So they're kind of the 3 main focuses, or the 2 main focuses for January, is doing a bit of that. And like I said, I had a few niggles, so feeling really tender in my thumb, of all things, in my left thumb. And I think it comes from like loading the club in the backswing. Definitely when I go after a drive, I feel that. So I haven't been hitting many golf balls, just trying to give that a bit of a rest. So that's one of the other reasons I'm not just going to dive into some tournaments and then have 6 months off because I
hurt your thumb,
injured it. Yeah. Whereas the younger me would have gone, oh, well, we'll be right.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to playing some events, yes. And there's a couple of Charles Tour events towards the end of summer. So maybe April, May, I'd like to have a crack at a couple of those at Muriwai, and believe there's a new one at Omaha Beach.
Is there?
Potentially. Don't know if I should know that or how I know that.
Yeah, you may have to edit that bit out. I have no knowledge of that.
Yeah, there may be a new one at Omaha Beach,
the Charles
which
Tour.
was the old Pro-Am. I just saw on the calendar it was over 4 days, and I was like, well, that's not a 4-day Pro-Am, so maybe it's a Charles Tour event. So, yeah, that's a hard course, which I have historically not done well at. The Pro-Am, one time I played a Pro-Am there. I think I finished my first round 8-8, 4-9 were my last 4 holes in one of the rounds. So there's room for improvement around that course. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, then hopefully we'll see how it goes. If I'm still loving golf, I'd love to play Tauranga and Mount, which usually September, October-ish, around that. But yeah, just exploring some different things. And what's my biggest work on? Wedge control, for sure. Wedge distance would be the number one. And then probably second, I probably would have put them in the opposite order in the past, but the short game stuff, I think I looked at my stats over 2025, and for the first time ever, I recorded pretty much every ball I hit, or tried to record
Yeah,
every ball I
hit me
hit
with the
over
numbers,
year.
because I saw that post
Yeah.
go up, but I don't remember what they were.
Yeah.
Do you know them off the top
Before
of
I
your head?
do, roughly. But yeah, I would have put short game first, but I hit the lowest greens I hit was 8 greens in reg, which I thought there must have been a day where I hit 4 or 5.
Mm.
And the most I hit was 15. So, I'm going to have at least 3 chip shots. But I'm not going to have more than 7 or 8 chip shots for most days. And there's a couple that par 5s where you have a chip shot where it doesn't count as a missed green because you're there for 2. But priorities for me would be wedge distance control. I think that's been historically pretty poor and was pretty poor this year, and didn't help me at all in the sim golf because I had a few wedge shots where I was like, cool, here we go, we knock this in the gimme zone, and all of a sudden I've got a 20-30 footer from only being 60 metres away. So yeah, that'd be the main priority, and then some short game stuff. In terms of the stats, it was quite cool. I kept all my stats. I hit just over 18,000 shots in total, and I counted strokes that had an intention behind them. So if I was picking up balls on the range and just chipping them into a spot, that didn't count. But if I was
Would a warm-up
balls I hit
count?
on the range, yep. So all my warm-up shots, anything that had some intention behind it, that wasn't just a rogue, I would just hit it in that direction. I don't care how it flies or how I strike it.
How many did you hit? 18,000.
18,000, yeah.
And so
at the start of the year, my goal was to hit 500 balls a week, which was a lot for me. Like, I don't know if I've ever hit multiple weeks in a row where I've hit 500 balls. And I did a pretty good job of that, hovering around the 500 ball mark. And there was sort of one week where I hit 650 and another that I hit 700. And then coming up to our baby being born in July, that went down to, I think the lowest week I hit was, I think I had a week where I had no balls, but the lowest recorded week was like 75 balls, where most of that was just putts. And it might have been after a coaching session where I thought, I'm just going to actually do these to get some strikes up, so I'll go and do a little putting drill or something. And then I started to ramp back up a little bit coming into the events, and it was quite cool to see the scoring average almost reflect the amount of balls I was hitting.
did you count,
strikes.
like if you shot 75, did that count as 75 strokes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's total shots, yeah.
Before, when you said you're not sure why you got better, that's probably a pretty good lesson in that, mate. Like, you've had an average of 350 odd balls a week, which would be probably, on average, probably 300 a week more than you've hit since you first sort of started getting into it.
Yeah.
10 years ago. So I don't think that can't be lost on people, and especially because I like the way you said with intention.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's worth noting that, like, it's not accidental and it's not just time. You've actually had some intention and hit, 350 balls a week.
Yeah, and it was interesting as that pattern changed through the year. My scoring average definitely dropped through the year, but there were kind of bigger spikes as I hit more or less balls, which was interesting to see. Yeah.
I was going to say I might do that for this year, but I'll end up disappointed. I really enjoyed practicing prior to you and I playing. Yeah. That's cool. I love that. What, are you got a similar target this year? Is the 500 still a goal?
I haven't really set a goal for each week, but I do intend on recording all of them. I use a free strokes gained app where I put all my rounds of golf in. I would like to use up game, but a little bit. I'm not sure if it's worth the money, although the data would be really cool. I think that would give me some cooler things at the end of the year, but maybe that's the reason not so. It's just cooler. Like, I don't know if it would help me reflect any better. So yeah, I intend to record everything. Probably I might take a few more guesses. Kind of like if I chip for 20 minutes, I probably hit 30 balls. Whereas this year I was like, every 10 balls I'd get my notebook out and I'd be like, 1, that's 10. 2, that's 10. And I'll be like, okay, that's exactly 46. I might do a bit more rounding this year because close enough is good enough for that stuff. But I did think it was interesting last year. So yeah, I do intend to do the same this year, just to see what changes and what's different, whether I need to hit as many. And I counted each category as well. So whether it was off the tee, approach shot, wedge shots, which was 30 to 100 metres, and then short game and putting. So see how they're all split up.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any intentions for 2026?
Do you know, I played... Did I play with you in any of the Ambrose things? No. I played with Lockie, and I was using the short putter.
Yeah.
And I putted nicely, but I think I said to you I felt a couple of little electric shocks. So then in the next day I played with Leachy and Hendo and used the broomstick.
Yeah.
Putted really well. But then went, nah. Go back to the short stick and just, lean in. And I played with Lawton the other day and back to the short stick and putted nicely. And so I want to play a little bit more. So intention would be not, like leaning into that stuff as it has been. I do want to play a bit more this year, but as I said to you before we started recording, I'm slightly busy-ish first half of the year or first bit of the year. So, we'll see. But I'd like to. I really enjoyed hitting the balls. I just enjoyed the process of hitting balls, and sometimes even if it's just aimlessly. Like I always say to the young players, like no music on when you're practicing. Like you're not actually practicing to get better in that case. But there was a couple of times where I just had music on because I wasn't trying to get better. I was just enjoying. It was like a relaxation. I'm just going to do something for me and hit some balls. So I might try and do a bit more of that this year.
Very nice. All right. Any tournaments you looking ahead and potentially going to sign up and play?
Not off the top of my head. I may have said I'd play the Omaha Pro-Am with someone, which having never played there, but it doesn't sound like the sort of course that suits me. And if that's turned into a Charles Tour event, that sounds like a hard no. But not off the top of my head, mate. I actually had the 3 days in a row that I played last week, I've actually had a sore back since then, so that'll be my intention, mate. Get fitter this year.
Get fitter. Me too. Nice.
So good. All right.
I think that's us.
Yeah. As you were.
Cool.
Cheers, brother.